Hello, Michelle Marie here. I am a vibrational astrologer and I'm one of only two in Australia. And I'm going to share a little more depth about the eclipse that we are in now and show you the chart and a couple of strong fundamental points to add to whatever else you've been hearing about out there about this eclipse. But I'm going to give you more specificity as to how the energy is flowing in ways that aren't easily seen simply by looking at the chart. So brace yourself, I've got some things to share. So now I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see the eclipse energies for yourself. Here we have the eclipse energy and in Australia, or the eclipse chart, and in Australia on the 13th of August 2026 at 3:36 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, the eclipse is exact. You can see here in this chart that the sun and the moon are conjunct at 20 degrees of Leo. That's the first thing you notice. This is a new moon in essence, and it's very close to the moon's nodes, which is why it's an eclipse, what makes it an eclipse. The pathway of where the sun and the moon cross the ecliptic is the nodes, and that is actually fairly close enough to be considered an eclipse. It's 9 degrees. So the point here is that we quickly look at the natal chart and we notice what is fundamental. So the sun and moon are in Leo, so it's a lot about self-expression and being seen. It's a powerful eclipse in its own rulership of Leo. So wherever that is placed in your chart will be where you're starting something new, and where this eclipse will mostly be dominating as it starts, because we're going to have a full moon eclipse next. So this is the solar eclipse, the first one. Now, there's a couple of things that have recently happened. Mars has just entered Cancer, and Mars is our drive in Cancer to protect. So Mars is right at the beginning, and it wants to protect and have a focus on safety, family, things that we consider a part of ourselves that we want to nurture and take care of. We have Mercury in opposition to Pluto. So there's a Mercury is what we want to communicate, and Pluto gives us some impulsivity. Mars is close to out of bounds, so that's just on the ecliptic or just slightly outside by just a few minutes. And Mars itself has a lot of drive to protect right now, to protect what's important, to protect family. We have this Mercury opposing Pluto. There's something to say. There's something impulsive that we want to express right now. And people are, may in Leo just be wanting to hear their own voice, or they may actually have a very deep purpose behind what they're saying. It all really depends on our own evolution as to how we use these energies. That's the first thing I notice. So there's a couple of strong oppositions, and the fact that Mars has gone into Cancer. So there's an idea of protection. I want to see more detail about that. So this you can see, at a glance. You don't have to be an astrologer to see a nice big green triangle. This is a flowing energy between Venus, what we value, and what we see as beauty, what we want to attract to ourselves. We want something better. And there is changes that need to be made. And we might feel some irritation if that is not being respected, because Pluto says, I want my values to be respected, and I want good relationships that are in harmony with me. And if they're not, I'm going to change it. So that's a very short way to describe how that energy is flowing. But let's look deeper, and this is how I want to demonstrate the vibrational astrology to you. And I have noticed that this natal chart in the 11 vibration has something very telling for us to see. So what is that? We are pretty much multiplying everything by 11 to get the 11 vibrations. So imagine this pie is cut up into 11 pieces. So we're going to magnify this chart by 11 times to see more specificity behind the natal chart. It's like taking the clock face off and looking at the mechanism. So the 11 vibration is one of the more fundamental ones, and it has a lot to say about what we want to change. So we're going to go up here and we're going to draw up the 11 vibration and say, okay, and this program automatically calculates it. What's really interesting here is that we can see more about Pluto and Mars. So 11, and we read it according to the 11 vibration. The 11 vibration is dynamic. It wants change. It wants movement. It wants aliveness, and it's restless energy. It doesn't sit still. It wants to actually make things happen. Now, the interesting planetary alignment that we can see here on the sun and moon is that Pluto has joined it. That's adding Plutonian energy to the sun and the moon, to this eclipse. Pluto adds intensity. It has a lot of buried things suppressed, and it brings a lot of power into the situation because it can get very, very triggered by past pain, past situations that have been buried that bring up an unconscious reaction in the people. And remember, this is about all of us because it's an eclipse, and very tight conjunctions like this will be doing something in your own chart. What's it doing in the eclipse itself is that it has a very, very tight opposition to Mars. What's Mars? Mars is our drive to do something and to take action. So in the 11 vibration, we have a lot of push and power to stand up for ourselves. And remember, Mars went into Cancer, so Mars is protective, and we don't so much take notice of the signs in vibrational astrology, but I just want you to notice the energetic flow that is behind the eclipse in the 11 vibration. It's quite telling and super potent, a little bit warlike. There's going to be some dramatic action being taken to get to where we need to be. It's a very powerful force for change inside this eclipse, and it's got the 11 vibrations, so there will be some changes being made. That's the 11 vibration. The other vibration I want to share with you is the 8th vibration. The 8th vibration is dividing the pie up by 8, and this shows the motivation behind the eclipse. So I'm going to share my screen and show you that one because it's also very, very telling. I look at the 8 and the natal closely in every reading because the motivation, why are we doing things? What's pushing us? So this is the next solar eclipse, and we look at the 8 vibrations. So I've got on the right here that already drawn up. So that is the 8 vibration. We just pretend like you're a kindergarten person and you're just looking at colors. You can see a great big triangle here. You can see that as is what we would call a circuit or an energy flow. And I also look at conjunctions. This is the sun, moon, and Venus now. In vibrational astrology, because now the planet's moving 8 times faster, we consider 16 degrees or as an orb as applicable. And we've also got Neptune coming into it as well. So we can bring Neptune into it. And that planetary conjunction there is in a trine to Mercury and Uranus. So there's something pushing for change. We have to speak up. People will speak up. They'll probably say the wrong thing, but it'll cause a disruption of some sort with Uranus there. When it's a trine, we see trines as clear energy flow, not good or bad. The energy's moving and it's like the river's running strong. And when it's like that, we feel irritation in a trine if it's not flowing. So that's something to keep in mind about trines. We don't, or 120-degree circuitry. Yes, it's about flow. Is it good or bad? We don't say that. But when it gets disturbed and it's not flowing, it can feel uncomfortable. So what I didn't do in the 11 vibration video, which I will do now, is just have a quick look at the midpoints. So right here down on the right, I'm going to press midpoints and we will see a little chart of some fundamental midpoints. If you know your symbolism, it will help. But the sun and moon are important, correct? So the sun and the moon, I'm going to bring up the chart for you so you can see it with the chart. Put the pop-up wheel and make it a bit bigger. And I'm just going to put that over here so we can see what these circuits look like. So in the 8 vibration, which is our motivation, the sun and the moon have 21 and 23-minute orb. It should be exact, but because it moves fast, you start to see these little minute shifts. So this is the sun and the moon, okay? And they are a midpoint between Venus and Neptune. Now, we saw some things with Venus in the natal chart. So here's Venus and here's Neptune. So that is a midpoint structure right there. That little conjunction is super powerful. And we know Neptune is the ideal. It wants some magic in life. It wants the dream. And Venus is there. So even though some things seem disturbing, there's going to be a purpose and reason behind it. To create a better life. We're not going to sit and wallow in things that aren't working. We want to create beauty, we want to create a good experience, and we want to honor this beautiful life we've been given. So that is a powerful midpoint structure. That is our motivation. This is the 8 vibration, remember. The other one I'm looking at, it also involves the sun and moon, so it's important. What else is motivating us? To speak up. So this is the handle. If you think of a bag, you've got a handle. It holds everything up. So this is a powerful handle here, and the sun and the moon are the handle there between Venus and Neptune. So that's where the energy is feeding through. This is what we want. We're not putting up. We're not comfortable. You don't care about me. You don't define me. You don't value me. You don't help my life in any way. Then I'm going to want to change that. So that's what that little configuration is there. I want an ideal. I want beauty. I want something better for me and my family. Now, this is the handle for all these planets. So the midpoint here is between the sun and the moon, because this is the big grand trine that we can see in this 8 vibration. Very much gives us a lot more specificity as to what's really happening and what we can expect to see. So Mercury is we're speaking up. Uranus is we want to, it's going to be compulsive. Change will come on quick. We'll be talking about the things that are happening across the globe. And it's going to be fairly fast, fairly furious. And the fact that people are speaking up. And there's been other, throughout the year, concentrations around Mercury. So Mercury is the midpoint of Uranus, which puts us in, its core function is to put us in with the current moment in time, and it's sharp, it's quick, and it's often unexpected in what happens. So one little word could be said, and it could just blow up a whole mountain or molehill. Now, Uranus is also a midpoint to Mars and Jupiter. And Mars is our drive to act, and Jupiter is... Now, we can go deeper into this, but I think this says a fair bit. So Uranus is your handle to Mars, our drive to act, and Jupiter, which blows things out of proportion. So things could we're not going to shut up. We're going to blow up, we're going to take action. We're going to speak up. It's going to be big. There'd be big results, big effects by what's being said and communicated at the moment and in this eclipse season. This is what's kicking it off. So this will filter throughout the whole eclipse season, which can last 3 to 6 months. So this is the beginning point, and I'm offering you the specificity as we can see it. What's motivating this? We're speaking up, and we're trying to heal something. Jupiter and Chiron are in the picture, and oh, sorry, Uranus, Mars, and Jupiter there, but Jupiter and Chiron are also involved in this as well with Mercury. So Mercury, Jupiter, and Chiron. His Chiron actually, we talk about it as being the wounded healer, but it has an energy function, according to Vibrational Astrology, which is to unblock energy and to bring healing. And there's something was blocked, we've got to free that up. That's that working with the Saturn and Uranus energy. So Mercury is looking to open up in order to unblock energy and heal. So there's a couple of isotraps, which is planetary alignments. This is the blue ones, quite a few, and that's like a whole circuitry. So I expect that anything that's said or raised could blow things out of proportion, but is to unblock the energy, ultimately, is what it's trying to do. So all that blue is one whole energy configuration. It's more than just what we see in this trine as we look deeper using the vibrational astrology. I wanted you to see vibrational astrology working. That's actually a taste of how deep it can go to find out how the energy flows. And when you align to your highest vibration, you start to flow better in your own life. It's the key to success is to align with who you were born to become. That's the eclipse. So if you want a vibrational reading, that's on offer to see what the eclipse is doing for you. Super powerful, and one-on-one reading with me is how you get it at the moment, and it is available. So I hope that helped you understand a little more about the eclipse and what it's actually doing. So I look forward to seeing you sometime.